Welcome to my channel. So today I want to talk about what Gayle King's contract renewal teaches us about taxes and wealth. So now before we go any further, this conversation isn't about anyone's personal tax returns. What it is about is how high earning professionals structure income, and tax planning becomes critical as your income grows. So Gayle King, there was a lot of talk about her renewing her contract when it was set to end. So when someone renews a major media contract, especially in television, there are usually several financial layers involved. Salary is only one piece. Contracts often include bonuses, production rights, brand deals, appearance fees, and sometimes even ownership stakes. And every one of those streams can be taxed differently, depending on how it is structured. That is where tax strategy begins to matter. So many people think that taxes are simply something you deal with in April. But the truth is that taxes are really about structure. The way income is received, the way contracts are written, and the way business entities are formed can dramatically change someone's tax outcome. For example, many high-earning professionals don't simply receive all their income as personal wages. Instead, some income may flow through business entities. Right? So this allows them to deduct legitimate business expenses related to their profession. So things like production, cost, travel, media consulting, legal services, branding, and more. When your income grows into the 7-figure range, tax planning stops being optional and becomes essential. If someone is purely an employee receiving a salary, their tax options can be more limited. But if part of their work is structured through consulting agreements, media companies, intellectual property ownership, that can open up a whole different set of tax strategies that can be used. This is why entertainers, media personalities, and entrepreneurs often build entire teams around them. They have attorneys, they have tax professionals, financial advisors, and business managers to help them through all of this. Okay? So, because at that level, you're not just simply earning money. You're managing a financial ecosystem. So it's a lot that's involved with that. So a lot of people was wondering about Gayle King and what she was going to do if she was going to renew her contract. To her, this is a bigger deal than it could be for anyone on the outside because of all the extra things that she has to consider. So here's the real reason for everyday professionals and business owners. You don't need a television contract basically to think like this. You don't need to have a television contract. The same principles will apply to entrepreneurs, consultants, real estate investors, and small business owners. If you're running a business, you should be thinking about things like, do you have the right entity in place? Are you separating your business income from your personal income? Are you maximizing legitimate deductions? Are you protecting your wealth from unnecessary taxes? Many people, I'm going to tell you, only focus on making money. But wealthy individuals focus on keeping money. And tax planning is the biggest way that they do that. So another important concept that often appears in large contracts is intellectual property. In media and entertainment, intellectual property can be extremely valuable. There's a situation that is going on right now about intellectual property with an individual who has a saying, and the entity went and filed for the intellectual property before he did. So I think maybe I'll discuss that in one of my next upcoming videos, but make sure you subscribe so you can definitely see what I'm going to be talking about, because this is real life. So another important concept, as we said, is intellectual property. So in media and entertainment, intellectual property can be extremely valuable. If someone owns the right to a content, brand partnerships, production deals, those assets can generate income for years. And that type of income can sometimes be structured differently than traditional salary. Okay, so that is why many successful professionals eventually transition from just being talent to being owners, because they recognize the difference in how the income can be generated. They become owners of brands, production companies, real estate, and investments. Ownership changes everything. Ownership can create new tax planning opportunities and long-term wealth. And this is why conversations like this on this channel matter. When people see headlines about large contracts, they only focus on the dollar amount, how much they can see. But the real financial story is usually behind the scenes. How the contract is structured, how the income flows, how the taxes are planned, and how the wealth is protected. I talk a lot about protecting wealth with taxes because you definitely want to do that. So the takeaway from this video for you is simple. If your income is growing, whether you are a real estate agent, an entrepreneur, consultant, or professional, the biggest mistake you can make is waiting until tax season to think about taxes. By the time April arrives, most of the important decisions have already been made. Real tax strategy happens throughout the year. It happens when the contracts are signed. It happens when the businesses are formed. It happens when investments are structured. So, and earlier, if you start thinking about these things, the earlier you start thinking about them, the more opportunities you are going to create. So, the next time you hear about major contracts, renewals in media, sports, or business, you need to remember this. The headline or what you see is only part of the story. So as I said, Gayle King had a lot more to think about, and renewing the contract is only one part of it. A lot of people were speculating, if she was going to be let go. Was it about the money? Was it about this? Was it about that? But you have to ultimately understand that, as I said, she had many more things to consider with that contract, or with her being renewed in general. So the real power is the structure behind the income. Because the difference between paying taxes and planning taxes can be the difference between building income and building wealth. Okay, so that's the mindset that every entrepreneur and professional should be thinking about. So thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. There are a lot of stories and a lot of headlines that I want to put up front and show you how you should be thinking about these things when it comes to your income and your taxes and you building wealth, and watching how some of the people and some of these celebrities build their wealth and create their companies and become owners of real estate, owners of businesses, and owners of their investments, and how it relates to finances. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in the next video.